First contact and derision. The massive holographic display hovering above Times Square flickered with otherworldly precision, casting purple-tinged light across thousands of upturned faces. Dr. Sarah Chen stood among the crowd, her heart pounding as she watched humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization unfold. The being on screen called itself Ambassador Vix of the Zendari Collective, its crystalline features arranged in what could only be described as a look of mild disappointment. "We have observed your species for some time." The ambassador's translated voice resonated through the global broadcast. "Your persistence is admirable, given your limitations." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd as the alien's words stank in. Sarah clenched her fists, her NASA credentials hanging heavy around her neck. After 15 years of leading humanity's quantum computing initiatives, being dismissed as limited struck a nerve. The Zendari's transmission continued, each word dripping with barely concealed condescension. "Your reliance on binary computing systems, your crude attempts at space travel, your biological inefficiencies, these are all signs of a species still in its infancy. However, the collective has decided to establish diplomatic relations to guide your development in a more productive direction." Within weeks, the Zendari established their embassy, a towering structure of impossible geometry that seemed to defy physics itself. Their technology was centuries beyond Earth's current capabilities, and they made no effort to hide their disdain for human achievements. Every interaction was tinged with patronizing tolerance, as if dealing with particularly slow children. At the International Science Summit in Geneva, Sarah watched as Zendari scientists dismissed human research presentations with casual waves of their crystalline appendages. Her colleague Dr. James Rodriguez's groundbreaking work on quantum entanglement was described as quaint. The Chinese team's advances in artificial intelligence were labeled primitive pattern matching. But Sarah noticed something the aliens seemed to miss. In their certainty of superiority, they failed to recognize the spark of creativity in human approaches. Where Zendari technology followed rigid logical progressions, human scientists made intuitive leaps. Where their solutions were mathematically perfect, but inflexible, humanity's methods were messy but adaptable. Late one night in her lab at MIT, Sarah received an unexpected visit from General Maria Santos of the United Nations Science Council. The general's expression was grim as she closed the door behind her. "Dr. Chen, what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels," Santos began. "We've been monitoring the Zendari's communications. Their dismissal of human potential isn't just arrogance, it's policy. They've designated Earth as a Category 3 developmental zone, essentially a scientific backwater not worth serious investment or respect." Sarah felt her anger rise, but Santos wasn't finished. "However, their arrogance has created an opportunity. They're not watching us as carefully as they should be. We're initiating Project Prometheus, a secret global initiative to advance human technology in ways the Zendari would never expect." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. "The Zendari's technology is based on pure logic and mathematical precision, but we've noticed they have a blind spot. They've never explored the potential of merging technology with human consciousness, with our capacity for intuitive problem-solving and creative thinking." Santos handed Sarah a tablet with classified files. "We want you to lead the Neural Interface Division. While they're busy mocking our primitive technology, we'll be developing something they've never even conceived of." As Sarah reviewed the project specifications, a smile spread across her face. The Zendari's greatest weakness was their certainty in their own superiority. They had no idea that their condescension had united humanity in ways previously thought impossible. Chinese quantum physicists were already collaborating with Silicon Valley engineers, Russian neuroscientists sharing data with Brazilian AI experts. In their embassy tower, the Zendari continued their daily routines of diplomatic patronizing, unaware that in hidden labs across the globe, humanity was about to prove that creativity and determination could bridge even centuries of technological gaps. Sarah Chen looked out her laboratory window at the gleaming alien structure and allowed herself a small smile. Let them underestimate us, she thought. They'll learn soon enough what humans are truly capable of. The next morning, as Sarah walked past a Zendari delegation touring MIT's quaint facilities, she kept her expression neutral. Ambassador Vix's crystalline features reflected the morning sun as he lectured a group of graduate students about their species' charming but inefficient approaches to physics. Your species' insistence on exploring multiple solutions to a single problem is a sign of intellectual immaturity, the ambassador was saying. True efficiency comes from identifying the one correct path and following it to its logical conclusion. Sarah thought of the neural interface prototype hidden 20 levels below her feet, where human consciousness was already achieving quantum states the Zendari had deemed impossible. Sometimes, she reflected, the most powerful position was to be underestimated. The first phase of Project Prometheus was already ahead of schedule, and the Zendari hadn't even noticed the increased power consumption in facilities across the globe. Their certainty in human limitations was becoming their greatest weakness and humanity's greatest advantage. As Sarah swiped her keycard to enter her lab, she couldn't help but think that the aliens were about to learn an important lesson. Never mistake kindness for weakness, and never confuse humility with inability. The human race had survived ice ages, plagues, and its own destructive tendencies. A little alien condescension wasn't going to be what broke them. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do. The Hidden Project. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Project Prometheus hummed with purpose. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a wall of neural interface readings, each display showing the merged consciousness of volunteer test subjects interfacing with quantum systems. What had started as a desperate bid to prove human worth had evolved into something revolutionary. Neural sync holding steady at 97%, announced Dr. Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. The human mind is adapting to quantum states far faster than our models predicted. Sarah watched as test subject Maya Patel, a former chess grandmaster, merged her consciousness with the quantum network. Unlike conventional computers, this system didn't just process information. It resonated with human intuition, creating possibilities that pure logic could never conceive. They said it couldn't be done. Sarah murmured, remembering the Zendari scientist who had lectured her team about the impossibility of quantum coherence at biological temperatures. Yet here they were, achieving it through methods the aliens had never considered. The facility's security system pinged, announcing General Santos' arrival. The general entered the control room with another figure, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of the Asian Quantum Research Division. His presence here, thousands of miles from his own facility, spoke to the gravity of the situation. Dr. Chen, Tanaka bowed slightly. We've made a breakthrough in Tokyo. The quantum neural network, it's developing emergent properties we never anticipated. He pulled up his own data, showing patterns of consciousness-driven quantum computing that defied conventional physics. The human mind, when properly interfaced, isn't just processing quantum information, it's intuiting quantum solutions that our most advanced AI can't predict. General Santos' expression remained stern. The Zendari embassy has scheduled another technological assessment of Earth's progress. They're expecting to find the same primitive systems they've been mocking for the past year. Let them look, Sarah replied, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. All they'll see is what they expect to see. Every major quantum research facility has a surface layer of conventional technology. Project Prometheus remains invisible. But their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert from Maya's neural interface chamber. The quantum readings were spiking in patterns never seen before. Sarah rushed to the observation window, watching as the young woman's serene face contrasted with the storm of data flowing through the systems around her. She's accessing quantum states we thought were theoretical, Rodriguez reported, his voice filled with awe. The neural interface is allowing her consciousness to perceive and manipulate quantum phenomena directly. Maya's eyes opened, and she smiled. When she spoke, Her voice was calm but filled with wonder. "I can see them," she said. "The quantum pathways. They're like music, like poetry. The Zendari try to force them into rigid patterns, but they can flow in so many beautiful ways." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This was more than just proving humanity's worth. They were discovering an entirely new way of interacting with the fundamental fabric of reality. The Zendari's dismissal of human potential had pushed them to explore paths the aliens had never imagined. In the weeks that followed, similar breakthroughs emerged from hidden facilities across the globe. In Brazil, a team had achieved quantum teleportation guided by human consciousness. Australian researchers had developed intuitive quantum encryption that adapted to thought patterns. Chinese scientists had created neural networks that could solve complex quantum equations through what could only be described as human intuition at the quantum level. But their progress didn't go completely unnoticed. During a routine inspection of MIT's quantum labs, a junior Zendari scientist named Vex noticed anomalies in the power grid. The crystalline being spent 3 days analyzing energy consumption patterns across major research institutions. "Ambassador," Vex reported, "I've detected inconsistencies in human technological development. Their official research appears to follow expected patterns, but there are unexplained energy signatures." Ambassador Vex dismissed the concerns with a wave of his crystalline appendage. "Their primitive infrastructure is notoriously inefficient. Document the wastage. It will make a useful addition to our report on their technological inadequacies." In the embassy's meditation chamber, however, Vex continued to analyze the data. Something about the patterns nagged at their logical mind. The energy signatures didn't match any known human technology, but they also didn't match any known alien systems either. They were something new, something that didn't fit into the collective's careful categorization of technological development. Back in Nevada, Sarah received word of the Zendari's curiosity. "Should we be concerned?" General Santos asked during their daily briefing. Sarah shook her head. "Their certainty in their own superiority is our greatest shield. They've dismissed us so completely that they can't imagine we're capable of surprising them." As if to prove her point, Maya's latest neural interface session had yielded another breakthrough. The quantum neural network was now capable of achievements that violated what the Zendari considered immutable laws of physics. Human consciousness, it seemed, could perceive quantum possibilities that pure logic deemed impossible. "We're almost ready for Phase 3, Sarah announced to her team. "Soon, we'll show them that the human mind's capacity for imagination and innovation can overcome any technological gap." But as she reviewed the latest data, Sarah felt a nagging concern. The quantum readings suggested something massive approaching, a cosmic event that their new quantum awareness could perceive but not yet understand. Humanity's great leap forward might come just in time to face a challenge that even the mighty Zendari weren't prepared for. In her private quarters that night, Sarah reviewed Maya's cryptic warnings from her last interface session. "The patterns are changing," the young woman had said. "Something's coming that can't be solved with logic alone. The universe doesn't just follow rules, it dreams." The human race had begun its own impossible dream, hidden beneath the surface of alien condescension. Soon, they would show the galaxy that sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come not from following established paths, but from daring to imagine new ones. The galactic crisis. The first signs of trouble came not from the Zendari's advanced monitoring systems, but from Maya Patel's quantum neural interface readings. During a routine connection session, her consciousness detected a disturbance in the quantum fabric of spacetime, a growing anomaly that defied conventional physics. "It's like a tear in reality," Maya struggled to explain, her eyes still closed in the interface chamber, "not just in one place, but spreading, replicating. The quantum patterns are unraveling." Within hours, the Zendari embassy erupted into unprecedented activity. Their crystalline ships appeared in orbit, scanning the space around Earth with technologies that made their previous displays seem primitive. Ambassador Vix's usual condescension was replaced by something humans had never seen in their alien visitors: fear. The ambassador requested an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders at the United Nations. For the first time, the Zendary's crystalline features showed signs of stress fractures, their equivalent of aging years and days. "We face an unprecedented threat," Vix announced to the assembled human leaders. "A quantum cascade failure is spreading across the galaxy, destroying the fundamental structure of space-time. Our most advanced computational models predict total collapse of affected regions within months." Sarah Chen, seated in the observer section with other key scientists, noticed something crucial. The Zendary's presentation showed their attempted solutions, all perfect, logical approaches that had failed completely. Their rigid mathematical responses to the crisis were like trying to stop a flood with a ruler. "Our efforts to contain the anomaly have proven ineffective," Vix continued, crystal fragments falling from his form as he spoke. "The quantum cascade defies logical progression. It behaves irrationally." In the silence that followed, Sarah exchanged glances with General Santos. The quantum cascade's characteristics matched exactly what their neural interface subjects had been detecting. More importantly, its irrational behavior was precisely the kind of phenomenon their hybrid human quantum systems were designed to understand. But before they could decide how to proceed, Maya's voice burst through Sarah's secure communicator, breaking all protocols. "Dr. Chen, it's accelerating. The cascade. It's not just destroying space-time. It's thinking, evolving. The Zendary's logical attacks are making it stronger." Sarah stood up, drawing all eyes in the UN chamber. "Ambassador Vix, you've spent the past year dismissing human potential. Now I need you to listen carefully. We may have a solution, but you'll have to accept that there are forces in this universe that can't be conquered by pure logic." The ambassador's crystalline form shimmered with doubt. What could humans possibly offer against a quantum-level threat? In response, Sarah projected Maya's neural interface readings onto the UN's main display. The patterns of human consciousness interacting with quantum states filled the room with swirling data that made the Zendary scientists physically recoil. "Impossible," one of them whispered. "This violates fundamental laws of quantum mechanics." "No," Sarah corrected. "It violates your understanding of those laws. While you were busy mocking our primitive technology, we learned to merge human consciousness with quantum systems. We don't just observe quantum states, we dance with them." Ambassador Vix's surface cracked further as he processed the implications. "You've achieved quantum coherence through biological neural interfaces. This is unprecedented, dangerous, beautiful." The last word seemed to surprise even him. Sarah pressed her advantage. "The quantum cascade isn't following logical patterns because it's not a logical phenomenon. It's a manifestation of quantum consciousness, and it's been responding to your attempts to contain it the way an immune system responds to an attack, by adapting and growing stronger." She gestured to her team, and real-time data from Project Prometheus facilities worldwide filled the screens. "Our neural interfaces don't try to control quantum states. We work with them, intuit them, dream with them. And right now, our dreamers are telling us that the cascade can be communicated with." The Zendary scientists erupted in objections, their logical minds refusing to accept such an unscientific approach. But Ambassador Vix raised a crystalline arm for silence, his gaze fixed on the patterns of Maya's quantum neural interface. "Show me," he said simply. Within hours, the hidden facilities of Project Prometheus were revealed to the Zendary. Sarah watched as the alien scientists observed Maya and the other interface subjects working with quantum states in ways their civilization had never imagined possible. "Your species," Vix said quietly to Sarah, "hid this breakthrough from us completely. We never suspected." "You saw what you expected to see," Sarah replied. "Sometimes the best place to hide something is in plain sight, behind someone's prejudice." But their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. The quantum cascade had reached the outer edges of Earth's solar system. The time for revelations was over. Now humanity would have to prove that their unconventional approach to quantum physics could save not just their own world, but the galaxy itself. Maya's voice echoed through the facility's speakers, her consciousness already deep in the quantum realm. "It's beautiful out here," she whispered, "but so very, very lonely. No wonder it's been trying to make contact. Dr. Chen, I don't think this is an accident or a natural phenomenon. Something's been trying to wake up the galaxy's quantum consciousness, and now it's noticed us." The Zendari ambassador turned to Sarah, crystal fragments falling freely now. "What do we do?" Sarah looked at the quantum readings, at the patterns that defied logic yet sang with consciousness. "We do what humans have always done when faced with the impossible. We improvise, we imagine, and we reach out to the unknown, not with weapons or equations, but with hope and understanding." The fate of the galaxy now rested not on cold logic or advanced technology, but on humanity's greatest strength, the ability to dream beyond the boundaries of what should be possible. Human ingenuity unveiled. The combined Zendari Human Command Center hummed with tension as Maya Patel prepared for humanity's first attempt to communicate with the quantum cascade. The Zendari had transformed an entire floor of their embassy into a hybrid facility, their crystalline technology interfacing with Project Prometheus's neural systems in ways neither species had thought possible. "Neural sync at maximum," Dr. Rodriguez announced, his hand steady on the controls despite the weight of the moment. "Quantum field stabilizers holding at 99%. Sarah Chen stood between Ambassador Vix and General Santos, watching as Maya's consciousness prepared to reach into the very fabric of reality. The quantum cascade had already consumed 3 star systems in the past week, its pattern of destruction accelerating exponentially. "Your species," Vix observed, his crystalline form still shedding fragments from stress, "is about to attempt something our civilization deemed theoretically impossible. Are you certain your neural interfaces can withstand direct contact with a quantum consciousness of this magnitude?" Sarah's response was interrupted by Maya's voice, already taking on the ethereal quality it carried when deep in quantum communion. "It's like an ocean of thoughts," she whispered. "Not destructive. Searching. So many patterns, so many possibilities." The main display erupted with quantum data as Maya's consciousness made contact with the cascade. The Zendari scientists stumbled back as their logical models failed to interpret the readings, while human researchers leaned forward, interpreting the patterns through intuition rather than pure mathematics. "There." Maya's voice carried wonder and urgency. "It's not one consciousness. It's billions. An entire civilization existing in quantum superposition. They've been trying to communicate, but normal spacetime can't contain their message. The destruction, it's accidental. Like a child learning to walk, breaking things without meaning to." Ambassador Vix's crystal surface rippled with disbelief. "A quantum civilization? Impossible. The energy requirements alone. Impossible by your mathematics," Sarah corrected gently. "But consciousness doesn't always follow mathematical rules. Maya, can you establish a stable connection?" The answer came not in words, but in a sudden transformation of the quantum data displays. The chaotic patterns resolved into structures of impossible beauty, architecture of thought, and possibility that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "They're beautiful," Maya breathed. "They'd been alone so long, evolving in the quantum realm while the rest of us built our civilizations in normal space. They didn't know they were hurting us. They just wanted to reach out, to find others who could see them, hear them, understand them." The Zendari scientists were frantically trying to document the phenomenon, their logical minds struggling to accept what they were witnessing. But it was Dr. Rodriguez who noticed something crucial in the data patterns. "The cascade isn't just stopping," he announced. "It's reversing. The quantum damage is being repaired. They're learning control through Maya's interface. They're learning gentleness." Ambassador Vix turned to Sarah, his crystalline form catching the light from the quantum displays. "In all our civilization's history, we never considered that consciousness itself could be the key to quantum manipulation. We sought mathematical perfection, logical progression. You sought connection. Sarah watched as Maya's consciousness guided the quantum beings toward understanding, teaching them how to interact with normal space-time without destroying it. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from following established paths, but from daring to dream new ones. The next few hours were a blur of activity as more neural interface subjects were brought online, establishing a network of consciousness that bridged the gap between normal space-time and the quantum realm. The Zendari's rigid technological framework began to adapt, guided by human intuition into new forms that could support this unprecedented communion. Maya's consciousness gently withdrew from the deep connection, though the communication channel remained stable through the network. Her eyes opened, filled with tears of joy. "They want to teach us," she said. "Their understanding of quantum reality, their way of existing in all possibilities simultaneously. And they want to learn from us too. About linear time, about physical existence, about the beauty of limitation, and the power of growth." Ambassador Vix's surface had finally stabilized, the stressed fractures healing as hope replaced fear. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have been in error about many things. Your species' greatest weakness, your limited lifespan, your emotional responses, your insistence on exploring multiple possibilities, even when they seem illogical. These are actually your greatest strengths." Sarah smiled, watching as human and Zendari scientists began working together in true collaboration for the first time, sharing insights and possibilities without hierarchy or condescension. "We never needed to prove we were better," she said. "We just needed to prove we were different, and that different could be valuable." The quantum beings had begun sharing their knowledge, not in the precise mathematical formulas the Zendari preferred, but in patterns of thought and possibility that required both logical analysis and intuitive understanding to grasp. It was a new way of learning, of growing, of existing in the universe. General Santos approached with a datapad showing the cascade's complete reversal. "The crisis is over," she announced, "but something tells me our work is just beginning." Sarah nodded, watching as Maya began teaching a group of Zendari scientists how to prepare their crystalline forms for neural interface compatibility. "The galaxy just got a lot bigger," she said, "and a lot more interesting. We're going to need all of our differences, all of our strengths, to explore it together." The quantum beings pulsed with patterns of agreement, their consciousness resonating with the combined network of human and Zendari minds. The age of separation was over. The age of synthesis had begun. A new partnership. 1 year after first contact with the quantum beings, the Earth's night sky had transformed. Crystalline structures of impossible geometry floated in orbit, their surfaces rippling with quantum patterns that reflected both Zendari precision and human creativity. They were more than space stations. They were bridges between realities, places where all three civilizations could meet and share their unique perspectives. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the newly completed Synthesis Institute, watching as a group of young Zendari scientists underwent their first neural interface training. Their crystalline forms had evolved, developing organic-like structures that could better interface with both human consciousness and quantum states. "Their adaptation rate is remarkable," Maya Patel observed, now the head of interspecies neural training. "A year ago, they couldn't even conceive of intuitive quantum manipulation. Now look at them." Below, a young Zendari named Vix II, Ambassador Vix's protege, achieved quantum resonance for the first time. The joy that radiated from their crystalline form would have been considered a sign of dangerous instability in the old Zendari society. Now it was celebrated as a breakthrough. "We're changing too," Sarah noted, gesturing to the subtle quantum-enhanced neural implants that now adorn most human researchers. The technology, developed jointly by human and Zendari scientists, allowed for controlled consciousness expansion without the need for full interface chambers. The quantum beings, whom humans had named the resonance, maintained a constant but gentle presence in the background of these enhanced minds. They were careful now, having learned the art of delicate interaction from their human teachers. Their vast quantum civilization had become an integral part of galactic society, offering insights and perspectives that transcended normal spacetime. Ambassador Vix, his form now a harmonic blend of crystalline logic and organic flexibility, entered the observation deck. "The collective has officially abolished the developmental zone classification system," he announced. "It seems illogical to categorize civilizations when each has so much to offer." Sarah smiled at the irony of him using logic to dismiss an overly logical system. "How are the other Zendari worlds handling the changes?" "There is resistance in some quarters," Vix admitted. "Changes, uncomfortable, but the results speak for themselves. Worlds that have embraced the synthesis of approaches are achieving breakthroughs that neither of our civilizations could have managed alone." As if to emphasize his point, Aller chimed softly. Dr. Rodriguez's team had just successfully tested the first conscious quantum drive, a new form of propulsion that used the principles of quantum consciousness to fold spacetime in ways that even the resonance found elegant. "To think," Maya mused, "a year ago we were hiding our research from the Zendari, and they were dismissing us as primitives. Now look at us, building technology that exists in multiple states of reality simultaneously, guided by consciousness and dreams as much as mathematics and logic." The resonance pulsed agreement through the quantum field, their thoughts carrying images of new possibilities, new forms of existence that blended the best of all three civilizations. They had evolved too, learning to create stable quantum physical interfaces that allowed them to experience linear time and physical form without losing their fundamental nature. General Santos joined them, her uniform now incorporating quantum-responsive elements that helped military leaders better understand and coordinate with their alien counterparts. "The Chinese Quantum Consciousness Research Facility just made another breakthrough," she reported. "They found a way to store memories in quantum states. Imagine, human experiences preserved in pure quantum form, accessible to future generations. The collective archives are being transferred to this new storage medium," Vix added. 12 billion years of logical observation, now being enriched with emotional context and intuitive understanding. Our history is becoming alive. Sarah watched as another group of trainees, human, Zendari, and several shimming quantum interfaces representing resonant observers, entered the training area below. "We've all had to let go of old certainties," she said. "The Zendari had to accept that logic alone wasn't enough. Humanity had to move past its fear of being overshadowed by advanced civilizations. The resonance had to learn that limitation itself can be a form of beauty. And we all had to learn that true strength lies not in proving superiority," Vix continued, "but in finding ways to complement each other's natural gifts." Through the quantum field, the resonance shared images of the galaxy as they saw it, a vast network of consciousness and possibility, each civilization adding its own unique harmonics to the greater whole. The destruction that had nearly consumed worlds had transformed into an art of creation, of synthesis, of growth. Maya touched the quantum implant at her temple, smiling as she sensed the vast network of minds, human, Zendari, and resonant, all working together across space and time. "They're not laughing anymore," she said softly, remembering the early days of Zendari mockery. "But then again, neither are we. We've all learned a better way." In the distance, Earth's first conscious quantum ship prepared for its maiden voyage. Its crew was a mixture of all three civilizations, ready to explore the galaxy not as conquerors or competitors, but as partners in a grand adventure of discovery and growth. Sarah Chen looked out at the shimming quantum structures that now orbited Earth like new constellations, at the transformed Zendari embassy that pulsed with organic crystalline life, at the humans below whose minds now touched the quantum realm while their feet remained firmly on Earth. "We never needed to prove them wrong," she said. "We just needed to prove that being different, being human, being ourselves, that was always enough." The future stretched out before them, infinite in its possibilities, richer for the diversity of its creators. The universe, it seemed, had room enough for logic and dreams, for certainty and wonder, for all the many ways that consciousness could reach out and touch the infinite.